Hello and welcome to PADNET Presents, a show featuring the creative individuals that come through the doors of our community center here in Long Beach. Many of the cast and crew for the episode borrow our media equipment, film in our studio, and use our edit suites to produce content for the local community. The episode you're about to watch was produced using their input in deciding the topics as well as the talking points for the show. Please enjoy this episode discussing what success and failure means to us.
Welcome to another episode of PADNET Presents, and my name is Tanisha. I'm being joined by my esteemed co-host here, Mr. Rollo. I'll help you introduce yourself.
I'm Rollo.
I'm Sunshine.
Okay, and today's topic, we're talking about something kind of a little sensitive here. I mean, we could get into like how sensitive it is, but we're going to talk about success and failures. So, who would like to open up with any part of success they felt in just this last week?
This last week.
Last week.
Okay, I started the class at Groundlings.
Okay.
So I've been like, ever since Corona Apocalypse, I've been like, oh, I want to get back to Groundlings. And I finally started that class at Groundlings.
It's good, huh?
Yeah, I feel like, oh God, finally, thank you. So yeah, that would be success.
Teenager.
What?
I did the Groundlings when I was a teenager.
Oh, you did? Oh, wow. Yeah, they're like pretty, it feels like a college class. Like, oh, I didn't know that comedy is supposed to be so academic, whatever. But okay, so that's a success. I got my class at Groundlings, yeah.
Okay, so has anybody, or is anybody willing to admit to any failures this week?
All the time.
No, all the time.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. Failure to...
Maybe we should narrow it down to today. No, I'm
Today, failure to be ready on time to come over here. By the time my ride got here, I was late, and then, it all worked out.
Yeah.
We're here. We're
here. We're taping. Yeah.
Failure is something to work through. That's what it is.
Okay.
Work through. Okay. Yeah.
So, Rollo, what is the difference between success and failure to you in your book?
Well, success, you succeed, and failure, you fail.
Wow, thanks.
I mean, that was pretty cut and dry there. You know what I'm saying, Sunshine? How do you feel?
Okay, so we had a meeting where we talked about this, and I was like, I guess it's just nothing but your opinion. What's the difference between success and failure? I specifically told this story. I used to be an English teacher in Japan. I was in Japan for 2 years. When I came back to this country, I felt like a failure. I felt like, because I never made as much money as I said I was gonna make in Japan. Never, they always told me I was gonna make, I never made as much money as they said I was gonna make. I had no money saved up. I came back to America with like nothing, But like when I tell other people, I felt like a failure coming back. But when I tell other people, oh yeah, I lived in Japan for 2 years, they're like, oh my God, really? They're so impressed. They think I'm a success. I'm like, really? I came back to this country with nothing. I was a failure.
Perception. That's what it is.
Exactly, yeah. So what is the difference between success and failure? I don't know. I guess it's your opinion. Yeah, perception. How do you perceive it to be?
I mean, for me, it is relative to what part of the journey that you're on, like how you determine success and failure. Because for me, all right, being successful may not look pretty, but I'm in a good place. You know what I mean? Similar to you, I just came back to the country. I've been in Mexico for the past 9 months working. And when I got back, it was like a difference because, I left with money and I came back without money.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
it feels like a failure.
It in some ways it did, but then in some ways I was enlightened so much that I felt like, maybe money wasn't for me to get at that point in the journey. It was for me to experience the experience.
Yeah. I mean, experiencing another culture it's a success in its own. So yeah, I mean, you got to experience Mexico. I got to experience Japan. Now that I've had time to step away from it, I came back upset, but now that I had time to step away from it, maybe I see it as more of a success,
Because people gauge you by how much money did you make, and I mean, that comes down to luck, basically. I mean, because especially in this field that we're talking about, of entertainment, stuff like that, you gotta work hard. When you supposedly succeed and start making money, you gotta work harder. You know, it's a very hard field to be in, but it has to be your perception, because it can't be money. Like, there's people that you could take, talented musicians and stuff like that, that can play circles around a lot of the people
Facts.
that are successful and have money, you know, but somehow the song that they put out there made money, you know what I mean, and others didn't. It's from the publicity it got or the exposure that it got, you know, and then you have to, as an artist, you have to not get down because of that, and you have to perceive it as what it is. You know, you're making art, and for like, I'm 54 years old.
Well, you look excellent. You look excellent, brother.
Thanks, but
you're doing good. God is good.
And through my life, I played in like 5 different bands, and none of them achieved, you know, there's no hit record or go. And if you look at Wikipedia, it's gonna be ugly, you know what I mean? But from those experiences, the things that I've gotten to do and the expression that I've got to put out there as an artist, that's what I owe the public, because it's Western thinking. Western thinking is one person does it good, and the rest of them go watch. Go watch them do it good. If you see, when you see pictures of Africa and say, you don't see one playing the drum, one sing, everybody play the drum. Everybody express themselves, you know what I mean? It's just, the way we think about it over here is different.
It's like the individual, but you think maybe other cultures it's like the whole group is
the whole group, you get to express, you know. It's a good feeling, man, to express yourself.
That makes a lot of sense. I think, that applies in more ways than one, you know, like not just music, like comedy, like stand-up, like whatever, you know, like.
All the arts.
Yeah, all the arts,
And that's why the first thing when the schools don't have enough money, the first thing they take out is art. And the reason why art goes first is because that's what makes you a human being. Art, it makes you, because all the other things are cut and dry. Math is cut and dry. They're all cut and dry things. But art, you have to have an opinion. You know, and the less opinions, the better for the mugs in charge, you know.
All right, since we're there, and I understand a lot of like what it feels like when you come back, and then it's not so much the people. I think more or less it's your family. You understand? It's like the expectations of them. I think that's where we set ourselves as, like you said, in Western philosophy, it's big about family. You don't get the lead in a school play. Your mother's like, that was her dream. You know, she put that on you to get into this realm, and because you didn't excel, it's like, I don't know, do you miss, like, do you feel like you miss out on something? We're always putting this expectation on ourselves. So how do we find success and failure in ourselves?
Well, I think it's a really good point. You brought up your family, because I mean, it seems like that's always the starting point. When you're a kid, your parent tells you, oh, you need to do this, oh, you need to do good in school, oh, you need to do good in this sport, whatever. And whether you, even if you try to get yourself away from it as an adult, it's going to follow you forever. So it's always going to, well, my mom wanted a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, you know, and it's like, I guess every parent wants their kid to do better than what they did. But then, I don't know, I guess this could get super sociological or whatever.
I mean, I'm with you though, no, because I feel like this is a place where we have to entertain, because we'll talk about all the stuff that's on the top because that's easy. But when you start getting into like family structure and how those pressures of isms come into play, like it really brings a really tight, the conversation can get real tight. People are like real tight-lipped, because then am I talking about my mother? Am I talking about my father? You know, like that way. But at the same time, these are the things that have, and I'm gonna speak for myself, like growing up, I grew up in an environment that wasn't very like pushing and like progressive in our household. Like I was progressive and my family wasn't.
What did they want you to do?
I'm gonna give a keynote. I was playing football. Okay, I was very good at football. I'm talking about this is organized football for a team.
I
had a violin audition. My teacher wanted me to be a part of this traveling group and travel with in a concerto or something. Mm-hmm. And I didn't make the audition because I had a football game.
Really?
Okay, and my mother found out about it. And the way she punished me was she took football away. She told me, you are not a man. You will not go to the NFL. You're supposed to went to the violin recital. Why would you even?
Did you see your mama's point though?
I did not at the time, because at the time you couldn't tell me I wasn't gonna be the first female in the NFL. You couldn't tell me that in my mind.
So for you, success was like the NFL and football, and for your mom, success was violin?
Was the violin, and she totally put the pressure. She came in with the mom hand. Yeah, you did what you thought you wanted to do, but now you're gonna do what I tell you to do. You understand? And then like in life, I can see how that has put me in a position where like I compensate for different things in different ways. Like, you understand? Like I can literally like fall in love with something now and walk away from it.
Oh, because your mom was like, the violin is success and football is failure. That's fascinating.
No,
I've never heard anybody.
Though, because music, you got a big window of things you could do with it, you know. And violin is a hard one though. Violin is probably the hardest instrument to play, but still, there's big chance if you work hard and have some luck, you could do it. What position you play in football?
Quarterback, wide receiver, defensive end, cornerback, safety. Yeah, I played on all positions.
Football, you see American football, that's a serious sport, man. So
I mean, but at the time, you couldn't tell me that, because at the time, I was very
you had
like
no juice.
I was in my belief, and I was like, personally, it didn't have anything to do with my parents. It had to do with me, what I wanted to do. But then it got met by something else. You know what I mean? So it showed me like, was that a failure? Because when I tell you it sucked me, it was like, I remember distinctively, like the next week after she told me I couldn't play, we had a game and I was sitting on the couch and it was just like, it's 8 o'clock, we supposed to be at the field at 8:30. And I seen my mom come down the stairs and I was just hoping, Mom,
please can I go play?
Can I go play?
What is it, Pony League or?
No, it was tackle, it was Bantam football. Yeah.
So not just in the school, it was like a
rec team, yeah. It was on the rec team. I mean, at the time, it felt like a big deal, and it felt like it felt like a failure. But then it also put me in a position, like I said, now it makes it easier for me to walk away from things that I really love, because at that moment I really loved it, and I didn't have a choice of whether or not I was going to be able to continue or not, because at that moment my mother was the adult and I was the child.
So could you play violin?
Walk away from
I mean, I feel like I can pick up the violin at any time right now, because I played it enough. I practiced enough.
We got to talk after.
Okay.
It's a good instrument to have.
You see how it works when we sit here and manifest it? Everything is coming together. We got a question here where we pose. It's like, what can you do to get over the failure?
That was the one I didn't want to answer. I don't think I handle it healthy. I wallow and stew in my self-pity or something until eventually I can forget about it and then move on to the next thing. Okay, well, one way I can say, this one way I got over my failure in a good way one time. I used to do stand-up.
What?
And I did stand up for a few years. And it's a funny thing, comedians always bomb. Like, you're gonna bomb. If sometime in your comedy career, you're gonna bomb. You can't help it, you know? And so one time I had a book show. It was a 10-minute set. I had my set all written. I thought I had it memorized. I bombed. I ended up walking off the stage. I bombed so hard.
What?
And I was feeling bad about myself. I was so down on myself for a week. I was so down on myself for a week. But I was like, look, every other comedian on God's green earth has talked about bombing. Every comedian bombs. You just bomb. And then you gotta go do it again. You gotta do it again. And I was like, okay, I just gotta go to an open mic. So I wrote a nude set and I went to an open mic. So It was a failure, but I guess with the stand-up, you just gotta hit the ground running and keep on doing it, you know? Like, okay, I bombed, you just gotta go to the next set. You gotta go to the next.
I still don't believe that you bombed. I feel like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, really?
Your personality is so bubbly. Like, I feel like you would beat them up in any situation.
Okay, thanks for stroking my ego.
I mean, stroke.
No, you do. Everything you do, you gotta fail a couple times. I mean, if you don't grow.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, that's why every comedian talks about bombing. Like, I met one stand-up comedian, and she said she never bombed, and all the other comedians were like laughing at her, and I was like, lady, you can't say. I mean, like you're saying, everybody bombs, and then you don't have a stand-up career unless you bomb.
You gotta watch your game film, and whatever you're doing, you gotta watch your game film, see why you did, see what you did wrong, what you did right. Like football. Watch a lot of game film playing football. You know what I mean? They didn't have LFL when you was
at the time, like you talking about what was that, like 1989, 1990?
Oh no.
It was very like I said, I was very progressive, and I'm gonna tell you how I came about to be. I was what you want to consider a tomboy.
Yeah.
You know, so I played sports with the guys. Like I went hard with the guys. And one of my friends who actually won 2 NFL rings, he won one with the Patriots and then he won another with the Colts. We was playing one-on-one and my friend threw me the ball and I dusted him. And he got mad and he said, "You couldn't play on my team. You can't play for the team." Oh, I ran all the way home and I was like, I need $30 because I need to sign up. I have to sign up. You know what I mean? Like that way. Yeah. And that's what pushed me, because I would have never I never like thought about going out for the team. I never thought about trying out for the team or trying to be a part of the team. We played in the street, but it wasn't until I beat him and he told me I couldn't. Oh, now I have to. Now you just made me have to go put on the shoulder pads, come out there with because at the time, your leg pads was a serious thing. Like you had to have your leg pads sitting up like this. Yeah.
Like Earl Campbell. Like Earl Campbell leg pads.
Like Earl Campbell, like, you know what I'm saying, real thick at the
pads
top.
Are small now.
You know what I mean? Now you just got the little rub-ons, like they barely even there, the little tights.
Yeah.
So, do you like film yourself playing football or film yourself doing music? Watch what you messed up.
Music you do. I mean, football in the NFL they do for sure. In high school they do. You know, organized ones they definitely do.
Because then I guess you'd see your failure and say, oh, I should have done this, and I'll do that next time, and I'll, you know. I've only done, like with comedy, I only did better, I think, when I had a friend film it. And then you could like, because I'll never remember afterwards. I mean, like, you can, when you rewatch it again, you're like, oh yeah, that joke was really good. Okay, yeah, that one does need some work. That one, I mean, it's like constant failure and success right there within one set. You know what I mean? Like,
facts. I mean, I don't think that you obtain a knowledge of what is even success until you just like, until you fail. Like until somebody just like, that was horrible. You sucked.
You sucked.
I mean, I would never do it again. But your job, if you are passionate about it, you will do it again, because you'll find a way. You'll find a way to say, okay, maybe all of this didn't work. However, this did work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get the silver linings, right? Like, I guess, like, kind of this was sort of a flop, but there's a little bit of this worked good or something.
You gotta see what's good. Step back. Step back and look at it, and then you'll see.
Yeah, that's why I feel so much about Japan. Like, at the time, I felt like a complete failure when I came back to America, but step back, give it time. It's been quite a few years since I lived in Japan now. I was like, okay, well, there was some successful.
I bet you there's some Japanese folks speaking English right now, right? That's what you're supposed to do.
There's some. Oh, thanks. It's all the Japanese people that speak English. It's all because of me.
Thank you, sunshine. Thank you.
How do you teach them? ESL? You don't speak Japanese, right?
No, my Japanese is pretty bad. They'd ask me if I speak Japanese.
So you use ESL in your second language?
Gomenasai, watashi wa baka desu. Sorry, I'm an idiot. I don't know Japanese.
What?
I knew a little bit. I knew enough to order my food. So
that's important. That is important. If you go anywhere, do not leave this country if you cannot order you something to eat. If anything else, you need to know how to order you something to eat. I'm putting that out there to you.
Well, definitely, I think if you go to another country and you don't know the language at all, the best thing you could learn is please, thank you, sorry, excuse me, the polite stuff, If you don't know any other words, at least please and thank you, excuse me, whatever, Yeah.
Please and thank you is important. But how to order your food is even more important because I'm a foodie. Okay, now, just to give a little inspiration to our people who are wallowing, how long do we wallow in the failure? Like, how long are we allowed to stay there before it's okay for somebody else to intervene and say something about it?
That's a good question.
As short a time as possible. As short a time as possible. The shorter the time that you wallow like you're talking about, the more it'll benefit you. Because negative is so much more dense and heavy than the positive.
Facts.
And you want balance. What you want is balance. In anything you do, you want balance. And negativity, man, it's strong. It's so strong. For example, like you could be with your woman. You could spend 10 years with your woman. And every morning you wake up, you say, oh, baby, I'm so good to wake up next to you, tell a bunch of sweet things. It starts the day off all perfect. 10 years without missing a day, right? Then one day you wake up on a sick one and just tell, negative things. Negative things that don't even need to be spoken.
Facts.
Right now,
Facts.
That killed all that positivity, and then you might not even get it back. So the less time you spend, and the negative is going to happen. Matter of fact, I used to think this chair is the negative, and the rest of the whole studio is the positive, right? To balance it, right? But it comes down to negativity will exist even if it's not present.
Facts.
So you got to eliminate its presence entirely to make the true balance.
Boy, you don't even know what you just spoke to the people right there. Did y'all get what Mr. Rollo just said? I hope y'all picked up that pen he just put down there for you.
So be positive as much as you can because it needs it. It needs it to balance,
Like I'm one of the people that I really believe in. I'm gonna judge myself before I allow a whole bunch of other people to judge me. So I'm probably the one person that is I would have said all the dirty, nasty, derogatory statements to myself versus when you speak it or if anybody else come to speak it to me, I am prepared. I have prepared myself because I have thought myself through it. And I'm not saying that is the way, but I'm just telling you that is a way that Tanisha found to be able to navigate through something not exactly going your way. Or if we're defining it as a failure, we'll define that as a failure. But whatever it is, I go ahead and I prepare myself. You've already did all of those hard laboring things, you know what I mean? So when you get there, it should feel as easy as you doing something so natural to you. It should just flow right there. It seems like it's time for us to wrap up. So is there anything that you guys would like to tell to the people of the world about success or failure that we didn't talk about right now?
I feel like I'm the worst person to talk about success and failure.
Oh my God.
Thank you for coming to PADNET Presents.
One thing I'll tell you is it takes the support of the people. When somebody's doing something, whatever they're doing, when you come and support them, I mean, if it's not good, tell them. If it's good, tell them.
Facts.
But you have to be there supporting them for it to be a success or a failure. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Failure because you didn't get support is hard, very difficult, so.
You guys are hearing it first, and we're telling it like it is, and we just want to thank you for joining in on this episode of PADNET Presents. I'd like to say thank you again to Mr. Rollo and to Ms. Sunshine and to myself, Tanisha. It's a wrap.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed that very open discussion on success and failure in our lives. Hopefully it gave you some insight on your own experiences. That concludes today's show. If you're interested in participating in future episodes of PADNET Presents, we invite you to join us in the studio. Follow us on social media or join our weekly newsletter to receive announcements on upcoming meetings to plan and brainstorm making a show with us. Thank you for watching PADNET Presents, and remember to make your media.